What's going on, Matthew and Carter? And it's not to say that Carter's not as important as Matthew. It's just I'm so excited that you're showing up because it's the first time that you're showing up for our class, and I want to make sure that we are catching you up. We're getting pretty far advanced into this stuff, and we kind of last week started, or not last week, on Wednesday we started a new topic, and I said, okay, well, now that we're jumping to a new topic, I want to get you on board before we get too far into the new topic. So, check this out, Matthew. Today's class is gonna be about focusing around you, because I'm gonna basically repeat the exact lecture I did on Wednesday with Carter. So, is that cool with you? I hate to single you out, but I mean, you're the only one who hasn't been showing up, so I wanted to make sure I catch you up. Yay, I'm excited. No, I don't like the attention. Come on, chat back. All right, good. All right, so here's what we're going to be taking a look at. We're going to learn this program called Python, and I think that maybe the best way to teach you right now is for you to be able to self-pace your way through this lesson on Python. Have you ever heard of Python before? Do you know anything about it? Yes. Do you know how to program in Python? A little bit. Good. Good. Then today's lesson won't be that slow for you. What I mean by slow is you'll probably be able to pick up this stuff really quickly. What we're going to do is go into Codecademy, and I want you guys to learn using Codecademy for Python. That's what I'm going to have you guys be the curriculum. That's what I'm going to have you guys self-teach your way through it. So for Codecademy, we'll teach. I'll go through it for you, but I just typed in Codecademy and then I logged in. And then after I logged in, I type in, so here's Codecademy, here's what it looks like. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Excuse me. All right. And then I click on Python because I want you guys to learn Python programming. And we'll start the lessons. All you got to do is start clicking on these and get through as many of these as you can. Matthew, we only started this on Wednesday, so you'll have a chance to catch up, especially if you are know a little bit of Python already. So I'll just get started in the course with you already, and we'll go through this. So, did you know, Matthew, about the print function in Python? It's kind of one of the most important ones. Cool. But I don't have to explain print to you. Because what you can do is you can set up a variable, like let's say my variable equals 10, and then you can say print my variable. Now, Python can do more. I mean, in math we just say like, what if I just had something like x equals 10? Then you can say print x, and it will still print 10. Oops. Let's see. I want to go back to that. You can still say x equals 10, and it will still print out 10, because you're defining x as 10. But with programming, you can go a step further, and instead of just letting one letter be your variable, you can say something different like my variable, and it will still understand that that's like one thing is equal to 10. And then so you can save that, it will print out that variable for you. Are we cool with that? Now, we have different types of inputs that you can give it. For the most part, computer programs like to deal with integers. But you can have this thing called a float, and all a float is decimal values. You also have this thing called a boolean, and a boolean is pretty simple to understand. All you got to do is set up the boolean to be. You can set up the boolean to it's just an on and off switch. It's true or false. Actually, let me think. Matthew, you're using Chrome, or you're using your Chromebook then, huh? Okay. You can't share your computer screen. I think I'd rather see it as your computer screen, because what I want to do is log in as you. Huh. All right, Matthew, here's what I'm going to do. Matthew, have you ever used Code Academy before? Oh, you're currently in it. Did you just create one, or have you used it before? You've been on it before. Okay, all right. Well, I guess if you just recently, or you just signed in. Let's see, Mr. Balde. Is it Mr. Balde? Yeah. All right. All right, we'll go through the lesson then. Oh, this is perfect. This is even better. All right, so I just started this course. So actually, Matthew, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip this first lesson on syntax, because it seems like you know it already. Why don't we do this lesson on tip calculator, and we'll see if we can jump straight into it. Sound good? So just watch the computer screen for now. Got it? All right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to use Python to build a calculator. And what we're going to do is, I took my wife out to dinner yesterday. The dinner cost $57. And this is a true story, because yesterday was date night for me. And I taught her how to calculate the tip. She's not really a math person, so I showed her how to move the decimals around. But why don't we build a calculator that will calculate the tip automatically for us? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the meal is equal to $44.50. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a new variable called tax. And so tax is equal to $6 or 6.75%. Since it's a percent, I should write 0.0675. Because when you're dealing with a percentage, you have to move the decimal place twice. You remember that? That's a mathy kind of deal. So I'm going to set up one more variable, and it's called 15%. This is the tip. So you base your tip. So I set up another variable, and I said tip equals 0.15. So that's the percentage of tip that I'm giving. Actually, yesterday I gave a 20% tip. It's because the place we went was really good. But for the most part, I think that general service, you give them 15% of the bill. Now, I have a question for you. And this is really, I don't know if there is a right answer or a wrong answer. I think that there's a proper etiquette answer, but, if you don't do it this way, you're not completely wrong. But do you tip after taxes or before taxes? You tip before? Is that the way you do it, Matthew? What about you, Carter? Do you tip before or after taxes? I don't know if Carter's completely on. I told him that he can kind of hang out. Actually, to be honest with you, I think that the proper etiquette is to tip after taxes. Yeah, that's. I mean, you would be giving them more tip, and I didn't know that there was a definite like thing on this, but that's what my wife told me. My wife used to be a waitress, so she kind of knows those proper etiquette things. Let me ask the other teacher out here, Sarah. Do you tip before or after taxes?
I would think that you would tip before taxes, but I always do it after taxes, which is probably not the right thing to do.
Well, you mean no? I mean it's a generous thing.
Right, but
I almost want to ask that question in Google. Okay, it's a poll, really, because apparently there is no right answer or wrong answer. But do you tip before or after classes or after taxes? And I bet you all of the waiters around the world say after. And well, what's the answer? I don't want to read all of their comments. All right, whatever. All right. Anyway, I think it's you've never had to leave a tip though. Yeah, I think the answer is after. You pay for the meal, and you base your tip off of after the taxes. So why don't we assume that? All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something where I'm going to set up what I wanted to do is I'm just going to try a code out right here, and I'm going to say this variable is called meal, and I'm going to set that up to be $4.50. This variable is called taxes, and it's going to be set up to be called 0.0675. So that's 6.75% of the whatever it is you're dealing with, and then the tip is 15%. So if I print meal, what's going to print to this screen over here? Matthew. And I know I feel like I'm skipping and going a little bit quicker than I should, but it's because you said you knew a little bit of Python, and I want to get through as much as I can. So Carter, you can answer as well. What is gonna print right now? Exactly, $44.50. Matthew, you still there? Just making sure you can hear. All right. Okay. So do you see how I set up these three variables and I said print the meal? But that's not necessarily what I wanted. What I want is, right now it thinks that meal is $44.50. But what I want is to calculate in the tax. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say meal equals meal plus meal times tax. Now what this is saying is the new variable meal is equal to the old variable meal plus the old variable meal times tax. So this amount of money is how much money you need to pay in addition to the meal because of taxes. And you're going to add that to how much money your meal cost. Now I'm going to print meal. And this is what comes out. Does that make sense to you, Matthew? Awesome. All right. So now what I want to do is I want to add in tip. So I'm going to assign a new variable. I'm going to call it total. And what is total equal to? Well, total equals to meal plus meal times tip. And if I print total, okay, wait. What's the problem here? Oh, I see. No, it's not that. I think it's this. For some reason, my meal was different. My numbers, I didn't have it carry over. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pound sign there, or a hashtag. All right, this will work. Let's see. Huh. How do I... Reset code. That's the one. Total equals meal plus meal times tip. There we go. Exactly. Awesome, Carter. Thank you. So here's what's going on. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The first time I said, give me 100 decimal places. I don't want 100 decimal places. I don't want 10. I want 2 decimal places. So right now it's calculating out how much the total for my thing is. Now, that's it. We're done. We just created a calculator. I can change the variables in there and see what we can do. But I got a question for you. Here's my challenge question for you. If you wanted to tip before the taxes, how would we figure that out? How would we figure out how much money you would have to spend if you would tip before the taxes? Let's rewrite the code. Can you guys put tip before the taxes? All right, fine. We'll put tip up here. Right? And actually, I think that's not going to work. I honestly think that what you need to do is you need to consider the taxes as well. So I think that what it is you do this. Watch. You want to tip only based off of the meal. So you have meal times tip, okay? And you're going to add the actual cost of the meal. And you're going to add one more thing. I'm going to add meal times tax. So this way, the taxes is going to be based off of the original meal. And the tip is going to be based off the original meal. So I'm tipping him before the taxes. So let's see what that runs. Because over here, I have to pay $54.63. If you tip before the meal, you have to pay $54.18. Ooh, there's a big difference. Well, yeah, it's not that much of a difference. And so I guess the answer is, do you tip before or after taxes? And what I would answer is, well, if the tax is only like 6%, then it's not really it's gonna make a difference of a couple of cents. So why don't you tip after the taxes just to give the guy a little bit more money? You know what I mean? That's what I think. Does this make sense to you, Matthew? Am I going too fast? Awesome. Okay, let's go to the next one. Strings. All right. Another type of data that you can input into the Python is a string. Now, string isn't a number; it's a letter, and it can contain letters, numbers, symbols. They're all strings. So we can create a different variable, and we'll call it Brian, and have it say the words "Hello, life." Now, these quotation marks that we're putting around this thing is actually a really important thing, because what it's saying is, okay, now I don't want you to think of, like, if we put in age equals 19. If we put that in and we say print age, it's going to print it for us 19, right? If we didn't have the quotation marks, it will print for us 19 as well. Do you see? So what's the difference? What does one... What's the difference between those? So if I say print age and print number, they're both going to say 19. Watch. There will be two 19s on this screen. It's because the age was 19, the number was 19. But what is the what's the difference between those two? They both output the same thing, but what's the difference? If you don't know, say IDK. If you're confused about the question, say IDK. The quotes? Yeah, but what does the quotes do? All right, here, I got a question. Add equals 5. So I made another variable and I called it add. All right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to call number equals number plus add. So what's going to pop out? What is going to this black screen going to display? Carter, you can jump in if you want to. Well, here, I'll throw it up there. So 19 and 24, right? Because the first one's 19, the number is 24. So now, what if I put age is equal to age plus add? What's going to happen then? What is going to pop up? All right, well, let's see. There's an error. What is the error? It's in line 8. Why can't it add the age plus add, but it could add the number plus add? Why is it allowed to add the Why is it not allowed to add age? Yes, because it's a different data type. Age is the string 19. It's almost like I want you to set age to be equal to quote unquote the letter 1 and the letter 9. I know that 1 and 9 are not letters, but that's literally what you're telling it. You're saying it's the letter 1 and the letter 9 when you add those quotes. When you don't put the quotes, then it's thinking, oh, hey, 19 is an integer. I can add an integer plus an integer, but I can't add, like, that would be equivalent to asking the computer to do this. And then the computer's going to be asked to, well, what is hello life plus 5? The computer's like, what the heck are you talking about? So that's what those quotation marks do. They kind of change the type of data that you're inputting. Does that make sense to you? Awesome. All right, let's practice. I want you to set Caesar to Graham, set Praline to John, and set Viking to Teresa. All right, let's do that. Here's the variable, Caesar. Equals all right. Wait, what happened? What's the problem? I'll give you a hint. There's 2 mistakes here. I actually did them on purpose because I wanted to see if you guys would catch it. I misspoke Caesar and I did, yeah, exactly. But the point is I want you to be able to read the error code, and then from the error code it says, wait a second, Graham, and they pointing to that last part of the word Graham. So it kind of tells you that's where you want to look, and you can see that I didn't put a quotation mark to close. So now it works. Awesome. Let's do the next lesson. Escaping characters. So here's one of the things that we need to talk about. Let's try saving this one. There's a problem here. The problem with this code right here is the problem is we use these single quotes and these double quotes for something. So what we can't do is what you're telling the computer right now is anything that I put between a single quote is a string. So I want you to define this as a string. This ISN. But then after that, once you put the end quotation mark, you're kind of like taking all of this stuff outside of the quotation mark. And then you have this random quotation mark at the end. So this quotation mark right here, I literally want you to put that character in there, but I don't mean it as a quotation mark. I just mean it as the character single quote. Does that make sense to you? So in order to tell the computer that, we need to put a slash over here. And what that is, that's called escape character. And it kind of like says, All right, whatever follows the slash, I want you to put that in verbatim. What verbatim means is exactly as you see it. Don't consider it a command, just consider it a character. So if I save and submit that, there is no problems here. Ooh, I did 10 exercises. Awesome. Matthew, how are we doing with this concept here? Awesome. Cool. Let's move on. Matthew, I'm going to go for about 10 more minutes and then we'll be done. All right. We learned previously that if you put something inside of a triple quotation mark, that's like putting a comment in. So the computer won't read anything that's in between that triple quotation mark. That's really just a comment that you're going to make, that they're telling us. So let's look at this one. Each character in a string is assigned a number. This number is called the index. Check out the diagram for the editor. In the above example, let's check this thing out. In the above example, we create a new variable c to set it to c. The characters at index 0 of the string of the character at the index 0 of the string of cats. Oh, I see. Okay. Next, we create a new variable n, and it's the third character. In Python, we can start with an index from 0 instead of 1. So, check this out. Here's what I want to do. I want to type in the string Monty. But I only want it to pull out the 5th letter in Monty. So what number should I put in here? What is the 5th letter of Monty, the word Monty? Look at it. Look at the word Monty. What's the 5th letter in there? Come on, you guys. Very good. Exactly. Why? Awesome. So what number should I put in here? Matthew? Should I put a 5? Let's try it. It doesn't like 5. But that's for the 5th letter. I should put a 4 in. Exactly, because when I start counting, I always start at the number 0. So M is 0, O is 1, N is 2, T is 3, Y is the 4th letter. So now it's going to print out the 4th letter of, or the 4th counting spot, which is actually the 5th letter. All right. Now what we can do is we're going to learn how to store the strings. And you can change these using string methods. We're going to focus on some of these cool tricks. Let's try this. Let's set a variable called parrot. And we'll set it to the string Norwegian blue. Then on line 2, I'm going to say len parrot. And I want to actually print that. Print len parrot. I need to put an equal sign there. So, what do I get? I get the number 14. What is it telling me? It technically doesn't say it anywhere on the page, but what does Len stand for? Take a guess. If you don't know, feel free to say IDK. All right. The output was 14. If you look over here, Norwegian Blue, how many are here? How about this? I'll do this. Norwegian Blues. Now I get 15. What is Len counting? The number of characters in that string exactly. So Len is actually counting the length of that string, which is why it would be called Len. Does that make sense to you? All right, but let's give it back to what it wants us to have. And so let's go Norwegian Blue. 14. Awesome. Next lesson. Let's do it. Well done. Let's do lower and get rid of the capitalization. So what I want to do is I want to print lower. Lower parent. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Call lower on parent after print on line 3 in the editor. I think it's lower. Oh, no, I'm going to do this. It's parent dot lower. Is that it? There we go. So this is saying, I want you to take the parrot and I want to make it all lowercase. So what printed out is not Norwegian Blue with capital letters, it's Norwegian Blue with lowercase letters. Let's do the same thing. Parrot upper. Awesome. Now it's screaming Norwegian Blue. All right. Create a variable called pi and set it equal to 3.14 on line 4. Pi equals 3.14. Got it. Call str pi. Let's see what happens. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say new equals pi plus pi. Print new. Oh wait, oops. Interesting. Oh, I see. New is equal to string pi plus string pi. There we go. So check this out. When I told it to turn this thing into a string, then what happens is this thing turned into the letters 3.14, not the number 3.14. So when I made a new variable and I said, I want you to add the letters 3.14 plus 3.14, it just added 3.14, 3.14. It's just adding literally the letters 3.14 and 3.14. But it didn't add the values 3.14, 3.14. Does that make sense to you? So the string is a different type. I mean, we talked about how string is a different type, but we were able to convert it straight very quickly. You know what? I hate to say it, but we're out of time. We've been running really quick, Matthew. Matthew, do you think you can get this Python stuff up and running on your own? All right, then let's see how far you get. I'll see you on Wednesday, and why don't you jam at it, get all the way down to the battleship by Wednesday. What I mean by the battleship is you're going to actually create the game Battleship. So you go through this as much as you can and get to Battleship. Fair enough? Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. I gotta go and do something. I gotta go return something I bought. See you, Carter. Okay, see you, Matthew.